Tonight, in a Children's Health Link special with Jean Enerson. The future starts here.
Welcome to Seattle Children's Research Institute, where breakthroughs happen. It's here that ideas that begin in a test tube become life-saving treatments for kids throughout the Northwest. We'll unravel the mysteries of a disease that strikes kids out of the blue. We'll witness what happens when a doctor and patient put their heads together, literally. And we visit a lab where there's something fishy going on, but it could lead to a miracle cure. We'll begin with the story of Ezra, whose name from the Bible means help. Big brother Judah is all smiles when he hears his parents talk about his little brother Ezra, who's napping upstairs.
He doesn't have to live in a plastic bubble his whole life.
But when Mom shares the story of her two boys, she breaks down in tears.
They're both so young that neither of them are going to remember this experience, and also the bond that I believe that this is going to create in them, because knowing that Judah saved his brother's life.
On April 7th, 2014, the second child of Zach and Rachel Dixon arrived looking like a healthy baby should, wide-eyed and rosy-cheeked.
More or less a perfect baby.
And like all newborns, Ezra was given a simple blood test. But there was something new about this screening. The Washington State Department of Health had recently added SCID, or Severe Combined Immunodeficiency, to the list of disorders flagged by this required screening.
All of a sudden we get this phone call saying, something's wrong with your child. And all we knew is that we had to go see Seattle Children's Hospital, immediately.
Ezra, just 3 days old, tested positive for SCID, also known as the bubble boy disease.
It's probably the most severe immunodeficiency that we see.
Scientist and physician Dr. Troy Torgerson, an expert at immunology, helped the Dixons understand what was wrong with their son and what it meant to have a baby with no T cells.
Even viruses that normal folks don't have major problems with, even things like the cold virus, can be fatal for a child with SCID.
He has zero immune system, so anything could get him sick.
The diagnosis was devastating. And like most people, the Dixons conjured up images from the movie The Boy in the Plastic Bubble that starred John Travolta.
Good afternoon, Ernie. And how are we feeling today?
The film tells the real-life story of David Vedder, who lived in a plastic isolator bubble before his death at the age of 12 back in 1984.
A doctor in Tokyo believes he may have found a treatment that might stimulate the development of the humoral and cellular antibodies.
What kind of research has he done?
So far, not too extensive. But for the middle of next
Good
year...
news, Ernie. Keep me posted, will you?
Thankfully, medicine has advanced since then, and due to Ezra's early diagnosis, he could get the treatment he needed, a bone marrow transplant.
And then, of course, bone marrow transplant and now gene therapy has made major advances so that we can treat these kids much more effectively.
But first, the Dixons had to find a donor for Ezra. That search didn't take long. Big brother Judah was a perfect match.
Did you save your brother's life? Yeah.
Bone marrow taken from Judah's hip filled Ezra's body with the healthy cells his immune system needed to survive.
Hooked it up in there, and it went into his system, and then
Went in just
the
like
cells,
an IV?
Yep, just like an IV, and the cells know where to go. Thankfully, they're both little. We didn't need to take very much out of Judah to put into Ezra.
Not always does it go as smoothly as it went with us, so.
Yeah. And people had asked us, like, oh, how can you put your 2-year-old through that? How can you do that? And I'd have to be very blunt with them and say, if we don't do this, Ezra might die. And so it's it's a tough decision, but we really had no other option.
The treatment is aggressive, but it came at just the right time before Ezra got sick from SCID.
And there's actually published literature that shows that if you can transplant them before they get infections, survival rate is over 90% for these patients. Whereas if you do the bone marrow transplants after they get infections, then that drops much lower, 50-60% survival rate.
Not only did the Dixons have doctors at Seattle Children's leading the way, they also had unexpected support from the sidelines when Russell Wilson came to visit.
All of a sudden I come into our room and Russell Wilson's standing in our room, and something that he did that it still touches me so much is he kept thanking us for everything that we've done and for being amazing parents in the care that we've done, that we've continued to give to Ezra. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Russell Wilson's thanking me.
Ezra left the hospital after a successful transplant.
Is that your brother? Yeah. Should we get him up?
He's at home now, near Spokane, waking up from his nap a little fussy because of an itchy rash on his face.
What do you think, huh?
That's a temporary reaction to the medications he has to take.
There we go. Huh. Oh, goodness.
Just a minor setback.
The future looks very bright for us. We are still in the middle of dealing with medications. Our future is very bright. Ezra's future is very bright.
With time, he should completely recover from SCID and enjoy a lot more bonding time with Mom, Dad, and big brother Judah.
Give him kizzy.
Thank you. There is no reason why he shouldn't be able to live a completely full, restriction-free, normal life. Do you love your brother?
Yeah.
Ezra just celebrated his first birthday, but he already has a claim to fame. He's the first baby flagged in the state of Washington by this new SCID test that came about as a result of research in Dr. Torgerson's lab.